Namaste friends, my name is Dr. Vikrant Singh Tomar. I am convener United Consciousness. United Consciousness is a global organization promoted by Project Self Incorporation USA and Bharat. Dear friends, some time back, one news shook the world. In the war zone of Syria, a 3-year-old child, badly wounded, was admitted to the hospital. Doctors could not save him, but before his death, that child looked at the doctor and said, "I am going to tell everything to the God." And the world really stood still. Every new child is a message of divine to us that the Creator is still not upset with us. But the mindset of division leads to struggles and leads to wars. The time has come that we should see oneness beyond these divisions. Because we are already one in our worries for our kids. We are one and similar in our concerns for our family. We are one in our pursuit of happiness. We are one in our quest of peace. We are one in our struggle of avoiding pain. We are one in our concern for future. We are one in our consciousness. So dear friends, united consciousness is not the way. It is the only way to save humanity today. It is a way for a new world order. It is a way where united consciousness envisage a new world where education will bring forth the best in everybody. It will liberate people, where the focus of education will be life, not only livelihood. Where in schools, kids will be taught that happiness and peace is the dashboard of life. Where the language of superlatives and comparatives will not be used often. Where economics will talk more about gross domestic happiness rather than gross domestic product. Where war will be taught only in the books of history. Where stress and tension will remain only in the books of physics, not in humanity. Where depression will go back to find its place in the books of economics, not in human psychology. Where nations will be the units of economic development, social and ethnic upliftment, but not the boundaries of human freedom and human expression. Where we share this planet with other species, where we, instead of talking only on democracy, we will be talking on ecocracy, where we will incorporate all the plants, nature, animals, and give them their righteous place, their appropriate place in this planet, where even they are applauded and respected as a being on this planet. So dear friends, the time has come to choose, and there are two choices. One choice is united consciousness, and another is divisive catastrophe. Because we make choices, and finally choices make us. So let's choose wisely. Let's choose love. Let's choose togetherness. Let's choose united consciousness. In order to choose united consciousness and celebrate it, we are organizing on 11th, 12th, 18th and 19th of December a global spiritual fiesta, United Consciousness Conclave 2021. So let's together explore united consciousness with amazing speeches and panel discussion. Experience united consciousness through meditation and yoga, and express united consciousness through dance and music. Around 100 countries will be participating in some or the other delegates or representatives of around 100 countries will be there as spectators or participants in this global program. I welcome all of you to sit back, relax, and enjoy this beautiful journey of united consciousness. I would also like to thank Indian Council of Cultural Relationships to promote this event, to support this event world over. Thank you very much.
I'm very honored and delighted to welcome our performance from the organization Play for Change. Play for Change is not only the organization, but it is a movement created to inspire and connect the world through music and break the boundaries. They reimagine a world connected by music to spread a global message of hope and unity. Playing for Change was born in 2002 as a shared vision between co-founder Mark Johnson and Whitney Kroenke. This musical journey resulted in the award-winning documentary, A Cinematic Discovery of a Street Music. Today, Play for Change musical group is playing the song What a Wonderful World. And in the group we have African Children's Choir Uganda, French Children's Choir France, Grandpa Elliot USA, Hugo France, Jensen Tamba Congo, West Los Angeles Children's Choir USA.
Blessed days and the dark secret night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful
Oh, yes.
On behalf of United Consciousness, I thank Play for Change musical group for coming onto the platform of United Consciousness and giving such a wonderful performances. Thank you so much.
I'm very grateful today to welcome our next eminent guest, Sophia Strill River, whose skills are beyond expression. She is a spiritual teacher and a writer who promotes inner healing, peace, and universal responsibility. She has authored 3 books with Dalai Lama, including his memoir, My Spiritual Autobiography, in 2009. She is a graduate of Indian Studies from the University of Paris. She traveled to the United States, then to India, where she studied Kala Chakra with Tibetan masters. She received teachings from an Indian Pandit at the Central University of Tibetan Studies in Sarnath and from Tibetan Lama at Kirti Monastery in Dharamshala. In 2016, she co-wrote with Vakya Rinpoche The Meditation Saved Me, story of healing from gangrene of the foot through meditation and mantras. A specialist in mantra therapy, she gives recitals of sacred mantras. In 2017, she published Make the Revolution, the Dalai Lama's appeal to youth, translated into English under the title A Call for Revolution. A Vision for the Future, a manifesto by Dalai Lama on the future of the world, a call to put in place solutions for our chaotic and divided times. She is co-founder of Better We, Better World and initiated Be the Love You Want to See in the World. It echoes Mahatma Gandhi's Be the Change You Want to See in the World. She lectured at the United Nations in Geneva on universal responsibility in November 2017 and February 2020. So please welcome Sophia Strill River from France.
Namaskar and good morning from Paris. Thank you, Dr. Vikranji and United Consciousness team for your invitation. I'm honored to give this talk at the United Consciousness Conclave 2021 on love and spirituality. I'd like to start by saying that love is natural. Love is our nature. Love is the life of our life. As babies, our physical and biological growth required for early development of our cortex, it has been wholly dependent upon the affection we received during our first 24 months. Without enough emotional richness and responsiveness, the growth genes shut down. Children deprived of love often don't grow to their full genetic potential. It's not just growth genes that respond to the environment. Oxytocin, the love hormone, contributes to the growth also of the body's cells. When there is insufficient oxytocin, which an infant gets from care and attention, the number of the heart muscle cells, for instance, is significantly reduced. This means a heart can grow only in the presence of another loving heart. Having received love, we are biologically, emotionally, and cognitively trained to give love in return. According to scientists, empathy and compassion emerge early and universally in our development. Yet, empathy isn't immune to cognitive biases. We are more likely to empathize with others who are like us. In areas with extreme conflict, people don't lack empathy. They just have very high empathy for their own group, but no empathy at all for the opposing group. This recent finding challenges our most cherished assumption that our capacity to experience the suffering of others is the ultimate source of goodness in us, and that the only problem with empathy is that we don't have enough of it. However, in fact, empathy may be plagued by negative emotions such as hatred, competition, jealousy, born from the we versus they mentality. We consist of the group with whom we identify. They refers to others considered despicable because of their different religion, country, ethnicity, social status, or worldviews. To correct such a self-centered mindset, spiritual practice proves quite relevant. For spirituality, unlike religion, aims at deconstructing historical and collective identities endorsed by the individual, very often unknowingly. What makes it possible to deconstruct borrowed identities? It's precisely the spirituality of love that prevails over all pretense and brings to light the truth of one's deepest being. The words being and truth in India have the same root, sat, and the ultimate truth of being, or satya, is love. Martin Luther King wasn't mistaken when he translated satyagraha as the strength to love. Here we need to clarify what the meaning of love is not restricted to sentimental romance. It may well be a sign of spiritual impoverishment that in the modern Western languages there is a single word to talk about love. We say we love vanilla ice cream or holidays by the sea as we love our partners, our parents, our children, and God. In the Greek antiquity, there were 10 words to express different categories of love. And the sages of ancient India also used different words for different types of love, from kama, sensual love, to shingara, romantic love, maitri, generous compassion, bhakti, devotion, and atma prem, or soul love. These last forms of love in the service of the highest consciousness are an experience of oneness with all living beings. They are the entry gates of the garden of mystic love described by Rumi, saying, I, you, he, she, we. In the garden of mystic love, these are not true distinctions. Atma Pram leads us to understand that when we love ourselves and others in the most profound of manner, love is universal. In the modern garden of mystic love, among the enchanting flowers of love, I'd like to include the trailblazing flower of Satyagraha and its spellbinding fragrance of a Krita yog to come. I see Satyagraha as the luminous flower of the golden age that will dawn upon earth through the elevation of human consciousness. The seed of Satyagraha was sown by the Mahatma Gandhi. Its gift to the world flourished in the soul of heroic women and men calling for social justice and heart awakening with loving speech and action. Martin Luther King used to say, I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word. Gandhiji could have uttered the same words. It shows that Gandhian legacy is universal, and all heroes of love and truth are inspired by his example. They put into practice ahimsa, satyagraha, and swaraj. These three principles of selfless love in action are the foundation of an ethics of love that should prevail in all arenas of social life. Nowadays, many grassroots movements across the globe are led by change makers who claim themselves of Gandhiji's call, be the change you want to see in the world. Actually, be the change has become the mantra of our time. As I was wondering what Mahatma Gandhi meant when he said, be the change you want to see in the world, it dawned upon me that the radical change he was advocating is love. And so I adapted Gandhiji's sentence by saying, be the love you want to see in the world. In his introduction to Hind Swaraj in 1921, Mahatma highlighted love as an active driver of politics. 1 century later, adopting love in politics has failed as politicians succumb to division and hatred, and the normative of love is banned from public discourse. Love is being restricted to the privacy of homes and hearts instead of being shared and multiplied. And yet, in 2021, I feel that all emergencies in the world are but symptoms pointing to the lack of love needed to eradicate the structural causes of hunger, extreme poverty, lack of care, and the predation of resources at the origin of so many disasters on the planet. If love prevailed, it would treat the evil at the root. If we revive the breath of love, its energy multiplied 8 billion times would generate a force of soul paving the way for happier days. In these pivotal times, if we want to survive as a species, we have to shift our thinking patterns from pathological individualism to altruistic love in the service of the common good. Nothing should be undertaken these days, including debating as we are presently doing, without the intention to benefit humanity through a deeper understanding leading to disruptive actions. In the face of the present challenges, satyagraha, or the strength to love, is a revolutionary driver that can trigger a momentum of our collective consciousness towards a civilization of love. All our power as humans lies in our regenerative interactions in the service of the living. This power of creating bonds and of caring as a name, it's love. Human DNA is 98% identical to chimpanzee DNA. And according to neuroscientists, the 2% difference is mainly about the human brain's capacity to relate to others. More than learning how to use tools or moving in the forest and the grasslands, anthropologists have found evidence that it was learning how to love and live with each other that drove human cognitive developments. And the new cognitive step in the 3.5 billion years of life evolution that we need to take urgently now should come, according to me, from a merging of meditation and action infused by love. The protocol of the Be the Love Medit actions I created ushers in a new era of reconciliation based on our fundamental loving kindness, beyond the divisions maintained by old hatreds and outdated ideologies. In this sense, I view the Middle of Meditations as a 21st century yoga of the earth, praised by Sri Aurobindo, the Indian saint, to promote an evolution of the human species by incorporating universal love in our DNA. This, I feel, resonates with the United Consciousness Initiative. And it's my life commitment to contribute to the rise of a new loving humanity on a new loving earth. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, respected Sophia ji. You have always been guiding us throughout our journey. We loved your speech where you mentioned about the oxytocins that it generates. And so beautifully, you said that heart can grow in the presence of another loving heart. This is very profound thing what you said. And from being self-centered mindset in those borrowed identities and selective empathies, we versus they, as you rightly called upon, that Satya, the heart of Satya is love. And Greek and even Indian saints has many words for love. You, I'm sure that listening to this, we all will find our ways towards the garden of love, as Rumi said. And you mentioned it. I'm sure that after listening to this speech, people will be more interested and trying to find their own DNA of love, as all human beings have same DNA, as you also mentioned. We are also blessed that in one of our programs you also conducted medit action, a meditation in action, what you call in words of Shri Aurobindo, yoga of earth. I'm sure that this speech of yours will reach to the hearts of many, and together we will walk ahead in creating a better, more loving world for each other. Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you for coming.
We thank Miss Sophia Still River for her beautiful explanation. Thank you so much, Sophia J. It's my pleasure to invite Dr. Nitin Agarwal Vaidya, an Ayurveda doctor practicing Ayurveda for over 24 years. He's an expert in pulse diagnosis and Panchkarma treatments. He is known as a formulator and researcher of Ayurveda medicinal and herbal formulations according to international standards, Ayush, European Union and US FDA. Dr. Nitin has integrated the classical Ayurveda with modern scientific tools and knowledge. He is among one of the leading thinkers and young leaders in the field of Ayurveda. He has been regularly invited to speak at various international conferences, seminars and webinars. He is also the founder and MD of Bliss Ayurveda Private Limited, Chairman of Alliance Ayurveda Research and I'm feeling delighted to welcome and introduce our guest, Ms. Maria Alejandra Soler, who is the instructor teacher of traditional Hatha Yoga, Taraka Yoga, and Advaita Vedanta. Since 1989, she has been an active Hatha Yoga practitioner, being a disciple of Mataji Sonia Dampiros. In 2010, she moved to El Calafate, Patagonia, Argentina, where she has taught and directed classes, Surya Shala and Centro Taraka Yoga, and given workshops. She was the organizer of the International Meeting of Yoga Culture and Spirituality in 2015-16, sponsored by Dev Shakti Vishwavidyalaya. In 2019, she joined Satyadhara Yoga Ashram Brazil, where she participated in teacher, instructor, trainer. She is Yoga Life Global member. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Ms. Maria Alejandra Soler.
Hello, Soler. Es un gusto para mí estar desde aquí, desde Calafate, Patagonia, Argentina, dándoles una clase. Namaste. Comenzaremos. Namaste. Vamos a comenzar con un pranayama, ¿ok? Un pranayama anuloma viloma. Vamos a estar en quietud. Vamos a agradecer este momento, el día de hoy. Vamos a tomar conciencia de cómo nos encontramos en este momento. Muy bien. Tomamos registro de nuestro cuerpo. Ok. Voy a buscar un poco de luz aquí, por favor. Aquí está bien. Ok. Muy bien. Vamos a comenzar la práctica en este momento. Vamos a activar nuestro cuerpo. Bien. Vamos a tomar registro de los apoyos. Vamos a tomar registro de la respiración. Vamos a tomar registro de nuestros apoyos y comenzamos abriendo y cerrando nuestros brazos. Bien. Ok. Activamos ahí la respiración y vamos aquí en chakrasana. Bien. Bien. Ok. Vamos a ir a Mukasana. Ok. Lo siguiente que vamos a hacer es unas posturas de calentamiento, unas asanas de calentamiento. Muy bien. Vamos a tratar de activar la cadera, ¿ok? Y vamos a respirar, vamos a tomar registro ahí de la respiración. Activando. 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 Bien. Y vamos a tomar conciencia aquí Vamos en 3, 2, 1. Y vamos a activar aquí, ¿ok? Vamos a comenzar activando la columna. Ok. Vamos a ubicarnos en Adho Mukasana, ok. Nos ubicamos en Adho Mukasana. Sí, vamos a ver bien aquí. Aquí en Adho Mukasana. Muy bien. Y vamos a comenzar activando aquí la cadera. Vamos a alinear, abriendo. Bien, lo siguiente que vamos a hacer es activar los brazos hacia un lado. El otro brazo. Activamos aquí. Ok. Ok. Lo que vamos a hacer es una torsión. ¿Sí? Y vamos a activar el pecho alineando el mentón. Vamos a activar con el brazo derecho. Y activo aquí, vamos a activar ok. Activo. Vamos a activar los hombros. Bien. Alineo y voy con la otra pierna. Voy a activar aquí. Bien. Y activo aquí. Vamos a activar el mentón hacia un lado. Giramos. Ok. Respiro, vuelvo a activar en la torsión. Bien. El momento en que nosotros vamos a activar el sacro, la cadera, las rodillas, los tobillos y activamos la columna y los hombros. Bien. Hacemos un pranayama aquí nuevamente. Ok. Y aquí vamos a ubicarnos para estar en Malasana. Uno más. Ok. Vamos a activar de frente. Bien. Activamos. Vamos a aquí. Hello. Hello. Ok. Aquí quedamos. Activo aquí. Activo aquí. Comenzamos separando. Vamos a separar las piernas aquí. Bien. Ok. Ok. Vamos a activar los brazos aquí y vamos a hacer una torsión hacia la rodilla. Hello, namaste.
Namaste. Thank you very much, Algendra ji.
Namaste.
Thank you for coming on the platform of United Consciousness and demonstrating some practical yoga
Yes.
asanas along with the tips. And I can see beautiful morning behind you. My good wishes. And thank you very much for being on the platform. I'm sure that people will
Namaste.
be benefited. Namaste.
Namaste.
On behalf of United Consciousness, I thank Ms. Maria Alejandra Soler for coming onto the platform of United Consciousness. Thank you so much.
Hello, namaste.
Connect, bringing together European yoga teachers and establishing delegates and representatives for each country, considering the social differences in various countries and support the needs, equality regardless of gender, origin, sexual orientation, social class and religion, overcoming dogmatism, fundamentalism to promote universal understanding.
Bye.
Promote encouraging a yogic lifestyle and a holistic approach to life as a tool for physical and mental wellness, a more spiritually elevated, peaceful, happy and physically fit society.
Integrate and unify. Integrating science and the art of yogic living, modern knowledges with ancient wisdoms for betterment of the world and global development. Recognizing, accepting and integrating the many different paths that lead to the same final goal, making sure that yoga will maintain its original purpose. Namaste.
Provide study of secular knowledge, philosophy and ancient text, Bhagavad Gita, Yoga Sutra and Veda. Study of techniques, modern developments in teaching techniques, incorporating scientific findings in medicine, psychology, etc. to guarantee a certain standard, an established graduation system to provide a minimum standard for yoga teachers training.
It's my pleasure to invite Dr. Nitin Agarwal Vaidya, an Ayurveda doctor practicing Ayurveda for over 24 years. He is an expert in pulse diagnosis and Panchkarma treatments. He is known as a formulator and researcher of Ayurveda medicinal and herbal formulations according to international standards, Ayush, European Union and US FDA. Dr. Nitin has integrated the classical Ayurveda with modern scientific tools and knowledge. He is among one of the leading thinkers and young leaders in the field of Ayurveda. He has been regularly invited to speak at various international conferences, seminars and webinars. He is also the founder and MD of Bliss Ayurveda Private Limited, Chairman of Alliance Ayurveda Research and Training Institute, and National Secretary of Vishwa Ayurveda Parishad. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Dr. Nitin Agarwal Vaidya.
Namaste. Myself, Dr. Nitin Agarwal. I am an Ayurveda doctor and expert in Panchkarma therapy. So today, I welcome United Consciousness to organize such a wonderful event, which is widespread in more than 100 countries all over the world, and a galaxy of speakers from different spheres of life are participating in it. So I congratulate again the team United Consciousness and welcome all our audiences. Today I have to speak about spirituality and how to balance work life. So which means that how we can maintain our day-to-day life at work, at home, as well as maintain our spiritual well-being. So this is of course a challenge in today's society where we are running around every day to work, doing hundreds of things, and then we have not much time left for our spiritual uplifting. But friends, this is very important, and I think the purpose of bringing all these subjects in this conclave of United Consciousness, the main purpose is to bring your attention towards how we can achieve this, because this is very important and this is exactly the real meaning of life. Now here we start. What is the real meaning of life? What do we achieve by working so hard? What do we achieve through all the day-to-day practices that we do. Yes, we can get a lot of money, we can get some power, we can get some fame. Yes, we can take care of our families, our staff, etc., etc. This is also important, no denying that. But ultimately, we all have to leave this planet. We all have to go to some other form of life eventually. When there is a birth, there is a departure. So how we manage our spirituality so that our consciousness, all our aspects of physical, mental and spiritual well-being are in sync with our lifestyles. So that is a key question that needs to be answered and of course given a serious thought. So when we are working regularly, yes, there is all that is being required to do, we need to do that. There are certain challenging jobs, there are certain very stressful jobs, and sometimes it is easier. But we need to balance it. So how we have to maintain our stress levels, because if we are mentally stressed, if we are emotionally stressed, then of course our spiritual well-being will be compromised. It is very important and key that we make a balance in it. So how we can do it? Let's start one by one. So as I mentioned before, that to balance or to uplift our consciousness or our spiritual index, we need to make ourselves stress-free. Now this may sound a little unthinkable or unachievable in many ways for a lot of people, but it is possible. Everybody has 24 hours to work, irrespective of what we are earning and irrespective of about the quantum of jobs that we have in our hands. But if we are able to organize ourselves, if we are able to delegate our work to our team, if we know exactly that what we need to do, if we are properly knowledgeable about the subjects, then definitely we can reduce stress at workplace. We can also organize ourselves with the same zeal at home, with our families, with relationships, with our children, with our spouses, with our parents, etc. And this is very important for our spiritual well-being, that how we treat our staff, how we treat and how we behave emotionally and spiritually with our colleagues at work, how we do and how honest we are to our work, because that honesty is basically a spiritual angle that needs to be maintained. If we are not honest with our work, if we are not honest with our colleagues, and if we are cheating people even though they are not observing it, then definitely our spiritual index is compromised. And even though we may feel that we have achieved some goal by defaulting, by falsehood, but we have not uplifted our consciousness, we have compromised it badly. Our emotions, our consciousness will come and howl us all the time, if not at that particular time, but probably later or in our next life. So this is what is important. I myself as an Ayurveda doctor strongly believes in that. When we talk about health or healing, healing means that we need our state of mind and our state of consciousness or emotions to be balanced and in sync with our physical health. And if they are not, then definitely we can never be healthy. And here we have certain tips. How we balance our emotions or how we raise our spiritual index. Yes, there are 3-4 very common aspects that we do. Meditation, yoga exercises, which is again mind-body consciousness coordination. Third aspect is prayers. We can follow any faith, any spiritual faith, but if we pray from the heart, with intensity, even if the time period is short, we can still uplift our consciousness and our spiritual index. But other than that, to balance our emotions, to uplift our consciousness, and to regain spirituality, it is important that we keep our emotional health under control. Maharishi Charak, who is the famous saint of Ayurveda, has mentioned thousands of years before in his book Charak Samhita about ways how we can manage in the subject called Achar Rasayana, or the patterns, behavior patterns, how we behave in life. I just mentioned one or two principles of that. The first most important principle is share your emotions. It is very important that we share our emotions with our confident persons, with our loved ones, with our colleagues, who we feel they can be trusted, but in a positive way, not in a negative way, not about complaints, but that we should seek help from people, from all our people who we feel confident. It could be gurus, it could be your doctor, it could be your spiritual teacher, it could be your guide, that please help us so that we can balance our emotional health. And when we talk to such wise people, there's a second principle in Avachara Rasayana: be in the company of wise persons. And wise does not mean bigger degrees or bigger positions in the society. It means a person who is wise enough to advise you in a very honest and truthful way, who can also tell you very clearly that, here you are committing certain mistakes, here you need to correct yourself. It's not just to pamper you, but also it's important to correct you. And that is where you start healing on the spiritual level. And here it is very important that our spiritual index is enhanced. So share your emotions and be in the company of wise. And the third principle is forgive and forget. Yes, friends, it's not easy. It's not easy to forgive people who have done bad with you. It is not easy to forget those incidents. Some of the theories are there that we should always remember these negative thoughts for further guidance. No, that's not good for your spirituality index. We should always forget that. Yes, the only thought process that needs to be in your consciousness is that we have to be careful for future so that we don't repeat the same mistakes again and again. But we should forgive, because once you forgive, you automatically on the higher stand of consciousness of the pedestrian. And that is where lies the spirituality angle, that you forget people, you forgive them for their sins, because they will anyway pay for their karmas if they are still doing bad things. Nothing goes away from the spiritual index. But let us keep our spiritual index uplifted and highlighted. And that is how we manage and balance a beautiful coordination in our day-to-day work life, at home, at work, and anywhere in the world, by helping ourselves and is equally maintaining our spiritual index. Just to conclude my statement today, in today's world, if we even have to reach on the top levels of the society, you need to have a positive spiritual index, because one is what we call IQ, the intellectual quotient. Another thing is EQ, the emotional quotient. And now there's a third angle, what we call SQ, the spiritual quotient, which is also important and very important in managing our day-to-day work life. Even it is part of the management, not only of our personal life, but also of our professional life. So it's good to keep this balance, and that is how we can attain spirituality. We can live a normal life full of fun and gaiety, and still have our consciousness uplifted, which is the ultimate goal of life, the real meaning of the life. Thank you so much. Namaste.
On behalf of United Consciousness, I thank Dr. Nitin Agarwal Vaidya for sharing his views and coming on to the platform of United Consciousness. Thank you so much.
Italian born and raised, Valentina spent 24 years of her life in Kenya as a businesswoman and eventually moved to South Africa in 2017. Mother of three beautiful and accomplished souls, Valentina, following her awakening later in life, established the first pranic energy healing center in South Africa in 2018 named Wings and Me. As a result, she started opening her own spiritual gifts, becoming an internationally certified pranic energy healer, serving a wide variety of patients and students. She also holds several diplomas, including one in psychotherapy, dream analysis, and crystal healing. Through her own
The unnecessary chasing of demands of the senses and mind lead us to many problems of stress, pain, anxiety, anger, etc. And we, the most sensitive beings, remain away from the true realization of happiness and peace. Project Self Bharat is an organization created for supporting individuals of any background to build a strong foundation for a lifelong wellness. We focus on a holistic view of human personality and aim to bring the body, mind, and spirit into a balanced and healthy state. Our vision is to empower individuals to find harmony, peace, and completeness in themselves. Our program includes the Bhagavad Gita classes. Bhagavad Gita classes is a systematic learning program for a detailed study of Bhagavad Gita. It aims to provide a world-class education program and knowledge base for Bhagavad Gita. In this program, we include the deep learning, a systematic learning program for a detailed study of Bhagavad Gita, inspiring thoughts, inspiring and uplifting weekly messages based on the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, Gita Sadhana, weekly studied practices based on the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, scientific connections, exploration of the concepts in modern science and management that are relevant to the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, Sanskrit musing, a systematic analysis of the Sanskrit terms used in Bhagavad Gita. Project Self also run Vedanta classes. This is a systematic learning program for the study of Vedanta, one of the world's most ancient, broadest, highest and deepest spiritual vision. Project Self Bharat aims to provide holistic wellness program for the overall development of human beings. We offer programs on inculcating human values and moral elevation through the study of Indian scriptures. We encourage good health and well-being by providing the classes on yoga and meditation. All our programs are based on the real challenges and problems faced by the people of 21st century. We are logical and scientifically minded, and the sessions we provide are rooted in a scientific approach. Our language is not religious, contemplative, or mystical, but that of a common person. We believe in universal tolerance and we accept all religions' traditions as true. Our approach is the assimilation of all and not the exclusivity of one. Our programs and services are open to people of any background, irrespective of nationality, religion, and professional background.
Italian born and raised, Valentina spent 24 years of her life in Kenya as a businesswoman and eventually moved to South Africa in 2017. Mother of three beautiful and accomplished souls, Valentina, following her awakening later in life, established the first pranic energy healing center in South Africa in 2018 named Wings and Me. As a result, she spiritual gifts, becoming an internationally certified pranic energy healer, serving a wide variety of patients and students. She also holds several diplomas, including one in psychotherapy, dream analysis, and crystal healing. Through her own spiritual evolution, she has recently developed the Inner Active Mastery Therapy, abbreviated to IAM, which she defines as the new level of psychology. This is a therapeutic journey applying quantum healing, psychology, spiritual teachings, and ancient knowledge to assist hundreds of people across the world healing from their traumatic emotional experiences in 10 easy steps. Envisioning and actualizing the creation of the non-profit organization, the Spiritual Council in early 2021 has been the natural evolution of her journey to serve others. This time through helping humanity understand that we are not separated beings, but that we are all part of the same human race, and as such, we are co-creating and evolving into higher frequencies of existence together as one. As the executive director of the Spiritual Council in Africa, Valentina is also an advisor to the United Consciousness Board in creating the Manual for Happiness. She has also appeared in numerous online awareness events, sharing her knowledge and love with others.
Thank you, Vikrant and the United Consciousness team for this warm introduction. It is always an immense pleasure to be part of the event, as this is my second consecutive year and I couldn't be happier for this repeated opportunity to share with you in consciousness. This time I'm speaking directly to all of you who, just like me, are suffering from anxiety, and I hope to be able to help you understand its purpose in our lives right now, and most importantly, on how to respond to it. I'm saying our lives because anxiety is real in my life as we speak. It is real in the lives of many of my family members, and it has been for generations. And so it is in the lives of my patients, and I made a point to understand it fully instead of just putting up a fight with it. Anxiety isn't just having trouble breathing. Anxiety is waking up at 3 a.m. from dead sleep because your heart is racing. Anxiety erupts suddenly for no apparent reason. Anxiety is stressing over things that may or might not be real. Anxiety is questioning your fate. How could my Creator allow me to feel this way? Anxiety is changing energy from positive to uncontrollable fear in a matter of seconds. Anxiety is an uncontrollable tremor. It's crying, real and painful tears. Anxiety is nauseous, it's crippling, it's dark. It's having to make up excuses after an attack. It is fear, it is concern. Anxiety is physically and emotionally draining. It is raw, it is real. It is a fight with your spouse even if you are not angry. And it's breaking you at the slightest annoyance. It is a flashback. It is a lot like going on, what's wrong with me? And I don't know how and why as an answer. Now, anxiety, I understood, is predominantly the body's reaction to the mental mind space that is outside of the present moment. As when we are in the correct timeline, actually anxiety feels like disappearing. But let me give you an example. Let's say I'm driving and suddenly I space out and I start thinking about something I did 3 days ago that I probably perceived wasn't to my satisfaction, or I felt I could have done it better. So in that space of a millisecond, this is what happens in my manifested reality. I stop being in the present moment by not consciously concentrating on the action of driving. I fell into the past and I started living the emotion of guilt of that time in this present moment. I judge myself for what I perceive could have done better or handled better 3 days ago. And then this judgment created resentment. And our soul, that is pure light, doesn't like it. So, feeling of uneasiness starts, the breath becomes erratic, anxiety strikes. Panic attack may ensue right there because I also realize that I'm not paying conscious attention to the road and I may get into an accident. And then the chest becomes tight, the heart is racing, we feel like an imminent heart attack is coming. And then I pull over and call someone to help me calm down, or I call an ambulance to make me go to the emergency room. Does this sound familiar to anyone? And all I did was losing touch for a moment with my current timeline, because in the mind everything happens very fast. And I lost touch with the timeline that I was in, which was driving. Now, bottom line, to avoid the attack, all I needed to do was to keep driving consciously and concentrating on the road, on the other cars, on pedestrian crossing, on my surroundings and my action. But my anxious monkey mind decided otherwise, with the unpleasant result that I've just described. As you notice, anxiety is caused by internal nervous system reaction to events that happen within the mind. And the brain is perceiving different elements which it does not understand and thinks that they are real, and thus making the person live that experience in that instant. People that struggle with anxiety tend to perceive normal life situation always threatening. And as the body cannot distinguish between real danger and what we perceive as threatening, it activates what we call the flight or fight response in both cases. And this is why anxiety sufferers can be anxious daily. But the point in which anxiety becomes a condition or disorder is when it starts to affect your life. If anxiety is negatively impacting your relationship, your work, your daily task, then this can feel far from normal. Now, today's presentation will help you understand this perspective from a high point of view. But also, what is the correlation between anxiety and spirituality? Because today, that is what we're here to talk about. Many people right now, like me, who are on a spiritual development path, either aware of it or not, complain about being constantly anxious, as not being able to resolve these unpleasant feelings that are actually creeping their life. As I explain this concept, just keep in mind the body-mind-spirit connection. The body, the mind, and the spirit are just one entity and are in constant communication with each other, because we've lost our capacity to connect with our higher soul. So the body becomes the GPS, it becomes the tool used by the soul to communicate with us throughout our existence. Spirituality, you can look at anxiety as a communication tool then used by our soul to make us aware that we are not in the correct path. Meaning that our spirit is using anxiety, which is felt in the body, to loudly communicate with us in the present moment. And such, we shouldn't look at it like something which is wrong and should be avoided, but embrace it and use it as a tool for self-development and self-growth. When the bout of anxiety occurs, it is just a warning sign for us to change the path that we are currently on. And this is why it serves that certain purpose. It is not there to show you things which you might not be able to do or which are not doing right, but it is simply there to notify you that you are not on the correct path for your soul at that time. Now, the moment I realized that my anxiety is a signal rather than an enemy, I stopped fighting the symptoms and instead began using them really to help me overcome the mental condition. I keep this mental record of when my anxiety goes up, down, when it's at worse or when it gets better, just to help me eliminate or change the things that were making me anxious. So, for example, anxiety has helped me realize that I'm more anxious if I talk negatively about people. And so that makes me stop making negative comments in conversation. I also notice that I feel a lot calmer on the days that I keep myself busy with physical tasks like working out, cleaning the house, cooking. And also being in nature is one of the few times I really feel at my best, because nature is grounding. In that moment, the moment you are in nature, you're just in touch with nature. You don't have time to allow your mind to wander into negative thoughts. So this understanding can develop in a better use of anxiety than it is actually currently understood. Now, you will start to notice and understand through your own experience that when anxiety, these moments appear, it is something that will tell you what you may be able to do next within that certain present moment. When the anxiety moment appears, it gives you the opportunity to really look at your life circumstances, noticing what you're thinking, where you're heading, and where you want to go. It actually gives you the opportunity to discern and make the better choice. And please be conscious and aware of these anxiety moments when they appear. And to be able to do that, you need to practice more mindfulness and learn how to meditate as often as possible so you can become more aware of what is happening within. Now, current medicine treats anxiety heads on. as a common mental illness, treating it with both therapy and medication, the latter having more side effects than benefit. But I will talk and touch on this topic again later on. But in my opinion, we should approach anxiety with love and grace instead, as it is that love aspects that will help increase the clarity in which you might be able to move to the next level on your journey. So, viewing anxiety from the mental mind causes more anxiety and leads to suffering. And remember, at the beginning, I promised that I will be giving you solutions to, not just explanation of the phenomenon. So, the key is to disidentify yourself from this attack. Although you might still be in the position of the attack, try and become more aware of what you are thinking, why you are thinking it, where the thought is going, and where you actually want that thought to go. Then instead of going into the mental mind space and coming up with a solution, move your awareness into the heart center right here. The solution for this will be brought to you by the love of the heart center. Understand that the heart center is one of the most important tools that can be used in any given situation. And this is the original knowledge from our soul, as the knowledge from your mind is mind knowledge base and is on the human understanding base. So, as you are in the heart center, that will help alleviate the existing anxiety and give you a clear perspective in which you're able to properly identify where you would like to go in your life, why you are not going there yet, or if the route that you're taking is not the right one. So learn how to go within as we always hold all the answers at all times. Understand that this can only be seen properly if you perceive anxiety as a tool and not as a form of suffering. Anxiety, like any other illness, must be embraced as a loving messenger. Embracing element of illnesses from a loving approach gives incredibly valuable perspective versus the fear-based approach of the same. This is why I want to encourage you to take a more loving-based approach in resolving illnesses, as this will dramatically change the quality of your life. The approach is always important, as this is the energy in which you created the results. If you create something out of fear, it will only cause more fear. If you create something out of love, it will help you alleviate and create more love. And this is how you will be able to get over certain illnesses in life. However, I understand it might still be challenging, but the path in which you take on this challenge will be better as the love-based approach is taken, because it is a much more natural part and it is our natural state of being. Now I want you to take into a more practical approach in the event that you are overwhelmed by a panic attack, as it might be difficult at the beginning to actually be calm enough to enter that heart space and speak to the energy of anxiety from there. So just pay attention and take notes if need be. So the charge of the panic attack is identical to the charge of any creation. So sometimes the mind would like to create certain circumstances which might create stress, as I explained in my first example. So when the mind-based form creates this distress moment, the body reacts accurately to the distress moment. It is hard for the individual to disidentify with the distress moment, as it was seen as a visible threat currently happening to the body, to the mind, and the soul. So a very specific thing should be done in this instance. We should be taking the breath into account. The breath, yes, is one of the biggest ways in which to alleviate the panic attack feeling. So as the body goes into an hyperventilating state, the actual control of the breath is completely lost. And as soon as the body goes into the hyperventilating state, that is when things go worse. And this is exactly why the breath should be taken back into control as soon as possible. So as soon as we can start to identify that we are hyperventilating, going into a state of panic, we need to just concentrate on taking long deep breaths right in that particular moment and try to calm ourselves down through the breath. And this needs to be done before we delve into identifying any situation more clearly. I personally use the pranic energy healing breathing technique that just consists in taking long deep breaths in at the count of 6, then you hold the breath at the count of 3, and then releasing the breath slowly to the count of 6, and then holding it again and continuing the cycle for as long as it needs for you to calm down. As soon as you calm down, as you identify that you are in anxiety mode and you've done your breathing exercise, feeling calmer, take time now. Don't wait for another time to notice your feeling and ask yourself, Why am I being anxious at this stage? Is it because I have been thinking about something? Have my thoughts been causing my anxiety? And if the answer is yes, it gives an indication that I should move into a different direction and not keep on the current path. Use anxiety as your GPS and just follow through. We are here to experience and to expand and not to stall. Ask yourself, what choices have I made that are not resonating with me? Am I in a job, in a relationship, a thought pattern that are not in alignment with my higher purpose? And my higher purpose is of growth and spiritual development. Remember that. Am I hindering my growth through thoughts, situations, the people I surround myself with, the food I eat, or substances I take that are detrimental to my expansions? And once you have identified, and make sure you're honest with yourself, what is not in alignment, work towards doing things differently. So at that point, anxiety will no longer have to be used by your soul to show you what you need to shift. Now, I have briefly mentioned earlier about taking medication for anxiety, and I feel the need to go further with this explanation as I haven't chosen this incarnation to stall, but to grow as a soul. So, taking medication for anxiety, the long-term effect could be quite detrimental actually. As soon as the body starts to become addicted to these certain substances, it develops a dependencies on the substances. This means that natural form of healing through inner healing and introspection also become less effective, as the body would see an easy out solution with the medication, which in truth will not help the soul in its growth process. It is this intrinsic understanding that has actually made me more interested in self-development than medicating myself, as the medication brings only a temporary solution. Since anxiety, all it desires is to bring us these opportunities for us to identify where we would like to go forward. It is also showing us the direction to avoid going forward. So avoiding this introspection actually may create further anxiety moving on. So in conclusion, I invite you to stay grounded daily and stay present in this moment, because you can only grow, heal and thrive in this present moment. The past has passed. The future can only be created by your own thoughts and action in this now moment. If you're interested in learning on how to apply mindfulness and grounding to your daily life and would like a copy of my Grounding Hacks ebooks, you're invited to get in touch with the organizer of this event and request a copy. It is currently just selling on a special offer at $15. I want to thank you for giving me your undivided attention, as I truly wish for everyone on this planet to keep expanding in unity consciousness, and this can only happen through individual spiritual development in this now moment. And if you have enjoyed this interaction and would like a transcript of it, kindly get in touch with the organizer of this event, as it would be my honor to provide it to you. Namaste.
On behalf of United Consciousness, I thank Ms. Valentina for her exhilarating performance. Thank you so much.
The new era where the human race was beginning to snip its ties of relationship with earth and nature, and modern science and technology invasions have brought the world close together, where humanity with its diversity has to live together complementing each other. There, we must have the spirituality-based view of life, of looking at the entire world as one family, that is, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So discuss on this topic, we have a panel discussion today on the topic spirituality and New World Order. I feel privileged to welcome our next guest, Mr. Amarjeet Singh Bhamra from UK. He is among the iconic list of the most influential people in UK-India relations, helping to elevate the bilateral relationship to a new level. He has been instrumental in ensuring Ayurveda remains at the heart of the soft power alliances between India, UK and EU. In 2018, he oversaw the launch of a new Indian Traditional Science Centre of Excellence by His Royal Highness Prince Charles and Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji as the first of its kind global network for evidence-based research on yoga and Ayurveda. He is the founder and secretariat at the UK All-Party Parliamentary Group on Indian Traditional Sciences and a prominent lecturer, practitioner and an author. He encourages members of the Parliament deputies, assembly members, diplomatic corps, and other decision makers, including the public, to promote increased support for research and prevention medicines for a pluralistic approach to our health and wellness. He believes in a holistic approach of body, mind, and soul, aiming to release the healing potential. His Ayurveda and yoga training programs are world renowned for the clarity of their presentations and structures with a unique, charismatic, entertaining style, and his professional workshops are always packed with practical and spiritual knowledge. So please welcome Amarjeet Singh Bhamra from UK. Today we also have with us our esteemed guest, Miss Ade Bumpa. She has started to practice yoga in 2015. She started Yoga Center in Lugano, Switzerland in 2013, and in 2014 she started to offer masters for teachers in pre and postnatal yoga. She deepened her knowledge of Ashtanga Vinayasa Yoga with Swami Manju Joyce, David Stevenson, and Mark Roberts. In 2018, she started an Anusara teachers training with S.K. Fisher. She also had an intensive meditation program with Andre Boni, Yoga Therapeutic Wisdom with Doc Keller, study of Bhagavad Gita with Mil Mahoney, Restorative Yoga with Anash Ashby. In 2021, has the honor of being assigned to the Swiss representative of the international organization, the European Yoga Federation.
Dr. Leon Moss, who is an ex-serviceman of United States Navy. He worked with the Winslow Township Public Works Department. Thereafter, a successful run for Vice President of the local union from 1989 to 1992. He served as volunteer firefighter as well as a Little League football coach. He also served as Vice President of Winslow Action Committee in 1993. Dr. Leon Moss moved to Georgia to participate in a larger movement for justice, peace and equality. This is where he received credentials of ordination as Doctor of Divinity in the field of theology, history and comparative religious studies and Semitic languages. He also studied and mastered metaphysics as well as transcendent and mindfulness meditation. In year 2014, he has done diploma in early childhood care and education. Presently, he is co-founder of Global Liberation of Love and Universal Devotion, which is a subsidiary of Glod Family Circle, always serving Kedjaran communities. He is also the author of Discovering the Power Within You and
Today
Only You.
Our next panelist is Ms. Maza Milcevic from Serbia. She is a teacher of Transcendental Meditation. She is the founder of Holistic Academy Maya in Belgrade, established on the unity of Eastern wisdom and Western medicine. She gained the Vedic knowledge of Ayurveda, Vastu and Yoga from one of the foremost teachers of today, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. She is specialized in therapeutic yoga and individual training approach with Yogacharya Jadranko Meklik and successfully teaches and shares the skills in the school to many students and professional athletes. Maza studied the ideal system of exercises for the spine with Maharshi Swami Dev Murthy. Pulse diagnosis and Marma massage she learned from Dr. Ernest Krott, director of the Academy of the German Society for Ayurveda. She has developed and designed therapeutic yoga techniques and individual approach according to the individual physiology, age and health conditions. Today's panel discussion will be moderated by Dr. Vikrant Singh Tobar, convener United Consciousness. Dr. Tomer is an acknowledged trainer, academician, scholar, writer and a management consultant. He is a freelance trainer and served the cabinet ministers of state, MLAs, police officers and tycoons of the business world. His aim and objective is universal brotherhood and happiness through harmonizing the knowledge from the ancient scriptures into our lives. So I welcome all our guests for panel discussion.
Namaste, respected guests. Namaste, Dr. Moss. Namaste, Mazaji. Namaste, Amarjeet ji. Namaste, Ide ji. Namaste.
Namaste.
And I welcome people of watching us from different parts of the world. In this United Consciousness Conclave, we have participants and spectators from around 100 countries of the world. Makes it one of the world's biggest event happening in December. Dear friends, we are going to have a discussion on one of the most important topics, spirituality and new world order. I request guests to we can listen some humming noise. So if they can switch off the mic and once they will speak, they can switch it on again. Perfect. Thank you very much. So we are going to discuss on spirituality and new world order. When we were thinking of this topic, I was thinking about the great Martin Luther King Jr. He used to say that the world of my dreams. He said that I dream of a world for my children where my children will not be judged on the basis of color of the skin, but on the basis of the content of the character. Today, we are living in a divided world. Orthodoxies, intolerance towards each other, division on the basis of class, region, status, species, race, caste, color, gender, so many. I will begin with asking a question from Dr. Leon Moss. Dr. Moss, what do you think are the major problems of the world today we are living in? What are the major issues in the world that we are living in today? Over to you. Major challenges, maybe. You may need to unmute and speak, Dr. Moss.
Thank you. Can I be heard? Am I heard?
Yes, yes, clear.
Very good. Thank you for having me. Namaste to all. In my humble opinion, the primary problem is thinking without awareness. We are full of thoughts, but there's no awareness. There's so much intellect, but there's no one's paying attention to that which is noticing the intellect, the conscious you. And because of the misidentification of the self, our decisions is solely based on me, myself, and I, primarily for the majority of the population. Is most people are thinking, what's in it for me? Is no altruism. People are doing it for selfish, doing things for selfish reasons, and that's the primary problem. Uh, so one of the solutions, or the solution to that problem, is awareness of the true self, the conscious you. And by being aware of the conscious you, you automatically fall in love with all, because you are aware that you're connected to all and you're part of all and you are all. And that's the beginning of the new world order, in my humble opinion.
Thank you. Dr. Moss said that there is a difference between thought and awareness. I request guests to kindly switch off the mic once they have spoken so that, okay, thank you. So, Dr. Moss mentioned that the root cause, the major challenge is lack of awareness, as he mentioned. He said there is a difference between thought and awareness. And what is awareness? So, he mentioned that misidentification of who am I is the lack of awareness. And when I don't identify myself with my true nature, then I enter into the trap of me versus they, you versus them, and I become very much selfish. And a selfish world is a divided world. Amazing introduction, Dr. Moss, for this discussion to set up. Now I'll come to Mazaji. Mazaji, Mayaji. I come to Mayaji. Mayaji, Dr. Moss mentioned that lack of awareness is the major reason. Misidentification. In your definition, what do you think is the major challenge in front of today's world?
Good morning, Dr. Vikram, and welcome to all. Thank you for your invitation. Where in the past 2 years we can see so much challenges. I think in every day we can see so much challenges, but I think that what I can see here in Serbia is the most biggest problem is that people feel such a big fear, such a big, they're so tired about of life, of the money situation, and all this, they are very confused, and especially young people. So this will be the most topics which we must consider really very carefully. Uh, Here, I said for my country, but I think in the whole world is this situation. And maybe the most important sentence for all of us will be in which direction we are going. In which
Thank,
direction? So
thank you. So Mayaji mentioned that one of the another dimension as a big challenge we have are the issues connected with daily lives, money, situation, not clarity about the purpose of life, and other mental concerns and issues will also be one of the world's biggest challenge today and the years to come. Excellently put, Mayaji. I'll come to Amarjit ji. Amarjit ji, you have been interacting with politicians. Politicians and preachers were the driving force of the civilization always. So, what do you think are the major challenges in front of the world today?
Namaste, Dr. Vikram Singh ji, and all the esteemed panel. So really wonderful to be here with you. And I just really want to, I mean, my colleagues have said so many interesting things, which I totally agree with. But we now live in this era of Kali, you know, and according to, our ancient scriptures, it has to be like this. What has a beginning must have an end. So Kali Yuga is the end of the time cycle at this time and moment that will bring, as Dr. Tomar very exquisitely selected the tone of this debate, the new world order. So new world order will come through, but everything has to subside. And so, therefore, although you look at the inception of of the mind, which really controls everything, and then you look at the vast technology that we have available in terms of nirgun and sargun, despite the fact that we have so much options, in our mind, and to conclude, to have a wonderful, a meaningful journey in this life. But Kali will bring this to an end, and it has to have this. And my esteemed colleagues who have spoken before me, they spoke about they spoke about awareness, and they spoke about fear. And you see the fear, that we are now going through, with the present crisis the world is facing. And so, therefore, with this in mind, the idea really is that the, the power that is behind the closed doors, all the powerful lobbies that are operating behind closed doors, and these very powerful corridors of power. And the idea really is to take our initiative there and to let them know that this is how we see the conduct how we wish to live. And that, I think, is really the main reason why the All Party Parliamentary Group exists, really for the purpose of bringing all this affluent knowledge and this new level of consciousness that we're going through to the hearts and the minds of the people who are ruling us, the people who are governing us, the very people who we have put in power, and
Thank
make
you.
them
Yes.
understand that there is spiritualism, there is a reform in society, and we really want to champion that cause in the houses of, not only here in the United Kingdom Parliament, but also in the European Union Parliament. And so
Thank you.
this is the work that um,
Thank you.
parliamentarians who are part of this group will engage with.
Thank you, Amarjit ji. Amarjit ji mentioned about that scriptures. Some of the scriptures in India mention about that this is an era where these fragmentations will happen, and this era has to end. And in order to give it an end, you need power and consciousness coming together. Power politicians, as Plato used to say, philosopher king. A king need to be philosopher, righteous in nature. And now, understanding this, that this divisions need to end, what spirituality can contribute. We discussed about, Dr. Moss mentioned about lack of awareness. Mayaji mentioned about the fear and the mental issues. Amarjit ji mentions about that it has to end, and political will and right consciousness is needed. How spirituality can contribute in creating that consciousness? I'll come to Ideji for the answer.
Thank you. What I think is that if we go to the parts of spirituality, we become strong, we become stable. And so I can say that we got the power. We got the power to face with all these issues, with all these challenge. I love a sentence, the first sutra of Pratyabhijna Hridaya from Ksemaraja, that say the independent Shakti or supreme power, that we can say the power of consciousness is the cause of manifestation, maintenance, and dissolution of the universe. So we have this power to create, maintain, and dissolve the universe, so we can create our universe. So when we practice the purity of heart, when we practice the truth, we become stronger, very vigorous in our action, in our thought, without doubt. So this is the help, in my opinion, of
Thank you very
spirituality.
much. Eddie G reminds me of what Mahatma Gandhi used to say: till I am at truth, I feel most powerful person in the world. When I have purity of heart and I have no hidden intentions, and whatever I am saying and doing is for interest of majority, I can even die for that cause. And this is what Eddie G is saying, that spirituality gives you immense power within. So everybody is powerful. And once you feel powerful, you can face everything. You can create your own world. How this world will come out of this inner power? She says that you don't need to always run for elections. Even you can choose to vote yourself in the fields of spirituality and generate inner power. How that inner power can be generated, how it will make us more selfless so that we can see beyond ourselves. Dr. Moss, I can see beautiful tree behind you, and I know that you belong to one of the biggest native organizations. Also, you lead that organization, and natives have been always nature loving. They have always uh, saw beyond themselves, not only humanity, they connect with the nature also. So can you guide us from some of the wisdoms of natives, and that how this inner power can be generated so that everybody can contribute in creating a new world order?
Okay. As everyone here knows, nature is a gift to remind of being, of the essential essence of being. So, like the tree is alive. It's not doing anything other than being. Its existence is providing oxygen for us to sustain ourselves. Well, we have to be as still as the tree in order to discover the divine self, which is the omnipresent self, which is the conscious you. And so we do things like chanting, chanting the elements: water, fire, earth, wind, who, the force of creative will. And it sounds something like Tama Nefeset Hu, and Tama Nefeset Hu, Tama Nefeset Hu, Ta meaning earth, Mu meaning water, Nefu wind, Set fire, Hu force of creative will, and reminding those, using those affirmations to remind ourselves of the divine in nature. Yes.
Well, it is very soothing to listen to. Can you recite it once again, only what you recited again?
Oh, okay. Tama Nefeset Hu, Tama Nefeset. Yes, that's one of the ancient language that was taught to us by our spiritual guide, just as a reminder of nature itself. Yes. Thank you.
Perfect. So Dr. Moss mentioned that he last time he stopped his speech saying that we are being very selfish because of misidentities, and then he added, if you need to learn selflessness, learn from nature, because their whole being is to give, like tree gives to the nature. All these five elements reminds us of being a part of that nature. We are not islands, we are a part of a continent. In a way, Dr. Moss mentioned about this selflessness we can learn from nature also. And that way, probably we can do something about this global warming also, because till we consider ourselves separate from the nature, we will start exploiting it. But that oneness, probably natives has a great lessons for all of us to provide that oneness. Then when I go in the nature, Mayaji, nature never asks me, how much marks did I get in my fifth grade? Tree, trees never tell me whether am I beautiful or ugly. Nature
Yes,
amazes me completely. And I feel so much fearless, relaxed in nature.
it's true.
So, how spirituality can bring solutions to the issues that you raised, mental issues of our life, our times, fear, confusion, not having purpose of life. How can spirituality bring solution to that?
Well, first, I must be good. First, like I'm teacher of yoga and meditation, but I must be good. I must be in peace with myself. I must be in love, so I can share this with my family. I can share with my friends, with my students, with my country. I think this is the one way that I can be really good example. First, I must live, and then I can speak with others. Also, we can have like holistic academy, our holistic academy here in Belgrade have a good program which we do almost every day with company. This is office yoga. I mean, it's soft, but it's good because they start to work some technical breathing, little bit meditation, little bit of yoga asanas on the chair, but we start something. So this is our way how we can contribute, especially in the companies, because they have so much stress there. But me, like individual, I can represent the peace, love, and the knowledge. I start from me.
So the charity begins at from me, and even peace begins from me. Mayaji mentioned, and it also reminds me of Mahatma Gandhi's saying. He used to say, be the change you want to see in the world. And she said the first thing is be yourself. Be good, love yourself. At least you will have one person loving you always. Then be in peace with yourself, she mentioned, because a peaceful person will become a peaceful family, and peaceful family will become a peaceful neighbor, and peaceful neighbor will create a peaceful neighborhood and a society in the long way. Individually, I should be peaceful. Obviously, this is a big question. World is searching for peace. How to get this peace? So I'll come to Amarjit ji to provide a solution, because you work with politicians at country level, at macro level. How can we think of establishing that peace, and how spirituality can contribute in creating that peace at macro level? I'll come to Ideji with a question: how at individual level I can be peaceful, then I can contribute in a better world. So first I'll ask Amarjit ji. Amarjit ji, how spirituality can contribute in creating global peace?
Yes, carrying on from Mayaji's contribution, which I very much agree with, to take this vibration global in terms of not globally like the five or the seven continents, but in all different aspects of our society. So what we have managed to do, here in the UK with the Parliament, is take this peace, take this compassion into the Parliament. And so we have now, 30 members of parliament who are part of this wonderful group. And so you will be very delighted to know, Dr. Vikram Singh ji, that the present crisis the whole humanity is facing at this moment with COVID-19 is that we here in England are the first nation outside India who are now conducting a nationwide study to look at the suffering of long COVID and how Ayurveda can actually come in to help people living with the long COVID. And as you know, so those people who survive COVID-19 have some form of implications, health implications after their virus has come and gone. And so this is the first international study outside India to look at how we can resonate that compassion, within the society, because the present drug society doesn't seem to have answers for everything. We want to work with the establishment. We are saying to the establishment, let us create a pluralistic model so that we have the best of all the systems. And I'm very, very delighted to share this with you that United Kingdom is leading an opportunity, giving an opportunity for Ayurveda to set a base so that people can live in harmony, so people can live in health, so people can live in wellness, so people can live in peace. And that is sort of and with this, we have also some other smaller studies and other sort of United Kingdom hospitals which are related to yoga and, for example, lower back pain. And so, how will yoga help with lower back pain? And we have another study, how will yoga help with osteoarthritis? And so, just to sum up very quickly, if we hadn't made this move, all this will, APPG, Indian Traditional Sciences, is actually a bridge between the values that every human should have and the people who rule us.
Thank you. So, Amarjit ji mentioned that in order to bring peace at the global level, one is bringing compassion to the parliament, because probably even people who are in power, when you have more to lose also. So even the fear is there all around. Even they also must be feeling fear, afraid of losing what the power they have. And another thing is about research. He mentioned, when you research results can help us in developing some better policies and bring attention to those people who can make those policies. I'll come to Ideji with the question, how I can be peaceful at individual level.
So I refer to the Bhagavad Gita, to the Pada 16, and there is a long list of virtues that we can try to establish in our life. And so we have a lot of opportunity to to start. I just read some that is have fearlessness, purity of heart, steadfast in the yoga of knowledge, generosity, self-control and sacrifice, study of sacred text, austerity and honesty, not wishing harm, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, peacefulness, compassion for all being, freedom from greed, kindness, modesty, steadiness, vigor, passion, courage, purity, and so on. So we can develop also just one of these virtues, and we create a wave of good things. I love a sentence of my teacher, Amy G, that say, if you don't want to do good things for others, do because this is give a good way for you, so it's good thing for you at the end. Because if you for example are generous to somebody, for sure these people is good with you, maybe is generous also with you, or people that see this can do the same things. So let's be an example, of of positive things, of virtuous things.
Thank you, Idaji. Idaji mentioned about
Peace in you and all the
if you
world.
want to be peaceful, she mentioned about chapter 16 of Bhagavad Gita with 26 divine qualities. And she mentioned about fear, uh, uh, to get knowledge, freedom from fear, freedom from anger, do self control, courage, be honest. And there are certain qualities, if you start inculcating yourself, then certainly you become peaceful. In yoga, the same things in a way are mentioned in terms of yama and niyamas. Thank you very much, Ireji, to bring it to the discussion. I'll come to Dr. Moss. Dr. Moss, with your experience, extensive experience of working in different parts of the world, and as we have concluded that the journey has to begin from me, I have to change in order to change the world. What things that you will suggest people to start doing from tomorrow so that we can, day after tomorrow, create a better world?
Primarily, as we said, the root of it.
I will request Dr. Moss give us very practical, executionable tips now.
Okay. Well, as a couple of our colleagues said, yoga, when anything that you do and you put your full attention into, if you ground yourself in now. So even if you're washing the dishes, put all your attention in washing the dishes. If you're doing yoga, you can't be drifting off the past because you might injure yourself in one of the stretches or the positions. So whatever you do, if you go walking in the park, put all your attention into each step and try to single mind yourself. Reduce the conversation or the thoughts into one single thing, like watching the tree or watching a gnat or watching a bug. Sit at the park and just watch the bugs, and put all your attention in bugs and notice how the bugs are totally present, and be totally present with with nature, and that will automatically bring you into self-awareness of the omnipresent self. Those little things that you might think don't do anything does everything. So it's not really complicated. It's very simple, as you know.
Excellent. Dr. Moss mentioned that one simple, very practical tip he raised. Some humming noises there. Can you switch off the mic, anybody of you? Perfect. So, one practical tip that he gave is focus. Whatever you are doing, be there. When you be there, then it leads to an undivided mind. This undivided mind is a peaceful mind. So, start doing like this. It's a very practical tip that you mentioned, Dr. Moss. I'll come to Mayaji. Any practical tip for peaceful being in order to create a better world?
Yoga and transcendental meditation. Why transcendental meditation? Because Maharishi Mahesh Yogi made so many scientific research, and we can see from this research that with regular meditation 2 times per day, we can reduce stress. And also that we need a group, 1% of population, that we start to create peace in the world. So this is very important, regular meditation. Also, everything which we can increase empathy, unity, knowledge, and some consciousness about ecology in our planet. This will be really, really important the next year. Now, but also next year.
Thank you. She calls upon for all of us to do yoga, transcendental meditation, and be in the company of righteous people. That way, this righteousness will start increasing. Amarjit ji, practical 1 or 2 tips. What should we do today so that we can create a better world tomorrow?
I think we're doing it already, thanks to United Consciousness. And we need many more of these conclaves. We need a lot more, to take this wonderful vehicle, this platform, Dr. Vikram Singh, that you have set up. And some sort of funding has to, come from some sources, to put this global initiatives, that you are humbly taking on behalf of every citizen of the planet. So, my best wishes and heartiest felicitations to you for the amazing, the hard work that you and your team are putting into this. And I would really, really think, because, with this consciousness, and you have such a wonderful name, United Consciousness, but, you are like a string in the bead of mala, yeah, in the mala. You are the center, and all, and Eddie and Maya and Leon, and we are all beads. And so thank you for giving us this opportunity. Thank you for being that very strong positive string that you are in United Consciousness. I would really love to see global meditation, through United Consciousness, at least, we can start this as 2 times a year, summer solstice and the winter solstice.
Thank
And
you.
we can have a global meditation, starting from
Yes,
Fiji
yes.
and completing in Alaska. I would really very much hope that one day,
We can certainly plan that,
yes,
Amarjit ji.
yes. Thank you.
We have people from still many continents of the world, even in this panel discussion. So certainly we can plan it. Amarjit ji said that regular connect, be in the connect with the people who are right-minded, and if some initiative is done in the right direction, start supporting it. It will help to create a better world. And we all are the beats of the same string, and string is that we are one in consciousness. So keep ourselves around the string, that memorance. Eddie G, your practical tips.
I'm really, really practical. I say try to not use car, not use bus, and walk sometime. You see the world around you, you can see the people around you, and try, if you have the possibility, to cultivate your food. So with all these things give you so great joy. You stay in the nature, you see the real world. So this is the little tips.
Very practical and executionable point she raised, that don't use car much, try to walk more. She said work for some time, cultivate your own food. That way you will be near to the nature and it will taste all the more better. So let's cultivate our own world together, a world of united consciousness, world of unity and oneness. Let's summarize what we discussed today. We had our discussion. Dr. Moss said the context saying is that lack of awareness is the biggest problem of this world, and we misidentify ourselves, and that leads to me, you, we, they problems, and that leads to selfishness. And when I'm selfish, I feel afraid because others may harm me. And that's what Maya ji said, that people who are afraid, people are afraid of because of situations, money, confusion, what is to be done, because everything around is a threat to me because there is a wrong identity. Amarjit ji added to it that this is an era of these wrong identities, but we need to do something to stop. It must end, and a new beginning should happen. How that beginning should happen? Amarjit ji said that the people who are in power, they also should take interest. A king should be a philosophical king. But Ide ji added that power also comes from within, and spirituality is which that brings that power. And once you have that power from within, you can face everything. And from where that power comes, she says, from the purity of heart. How to get that purity of heart? How to be that near to the self? Then Dr. Moss said, for that, be near to the nature itself. Nature teaches you selflessness. Talk to the elements of nature, have those affirmations for yourself, and be near to yourself, and that way you can learn from nature and be pure at heart. Maya ji added into it that you must be good, love yourself, be peace with yourself, and be the change that you want to see in the world. Amarjit ji added into it that bring that compassion that has generated inside you by being in nature and close to yourself, bring that compassion to the parliament also. And not only physical health, even mental health, like Ayurveda, and these things can contribute a lot. He also added the importance of research. Once you do more research in these things and put it to the parliament, they may make policies to it. As a practical tip, Dr. Moss said, be focused. When you are focused, you don't have divided mind. Your divided mind will divide world tomorrow.
So be focused, be totally present in whatever, wherever you are doing, you will gain peace in it. And how to gain peace? Mayaji added, do yoga, have transcendental meditation, and be in the company of righteous people. They will foster peace in you. And Idaji mentioned 26 divine qualities after chapter 16 of Bhagavad Gita. Start picking them one after another. Don't use car. Walk, be near to the nature, cultivate your own food and eat it. Amarjit ji said, be regularly in connect with the good people. And if anybody is doing something good, together support and be with that person, organization, or initiative. And we all are the strings connected with united consciousness. So before I say thank you, I will request Dr. Moss to chant that small mantra once again. And that will be our final submission of today's panel discussion. Over to you, Dr. Moss.
Ta mu nefu said chu who. Tama nefu said who. Tama nefu said who. Tama nefu said who. Yeah.
May all be blessed by the nature and elements of the nature from where we have come and from where we will all go again. Thank you very much, friends. Namaste.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Peaceful world order soon.
Thank you.
Our next performance is from Italy by Ms. Sara Lenzi and group, Igor Dwani De Loca, founded by the actor, drummer and theatre director Zioni Benedetto. This group is presenting their version of a piece of the Brinton tradition, La Sansonette. This piece of music combines melodies heard in other times and places and is the result of their mixing. In the group we have Kyra Grillo, the singer and songwriter, the fluist and singer Sara Lanzi, the bombard and bagpiper player Nicola Ciroli, the actor and hurdy-gurdyist Tiziano Fiola. The troupe offer touring shows of medieval music and street theatres playing in the most beautiful villages in Italy and Europe, with a repertoire of stories, melodies collected from various parts of the world in different places and times, and play in mysterious new versions. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome the group of Ms. Sara Lenzi.
I welcome you on United Consciousness International Yoga Day, organized by United Consciousness Global.
On behalf of United Consciousness, I thank Ms. Sarah Lindsay and group for coming on to the platform of United Consciousness and giving such a beautiful performance. Thank you so much.
I am feeling immensely happy in introducing the incredible learned personality, André Riel from France. He is a master of Nidra Yoga and Kashmir Shaiva Tantra. He is a student of yoga since 1972. He first stayed in a monastery in the Himalayas and met many traditional masters studying extremely specific teachings of classical as well as tantric yoga practices. After some years of searching, meeting with Kashmiri Babu, an ascetic from the Shaiva tradition, he underwent a retreat of deep study into the spiritual quest. Also, very touched by his meetings with J. Krishnamurti and Sri Anand Mahima, he studied further important aspects of the inner path. It was the final encounter with Chandraswami, an ascetic from the Brahmanic lineage of the Udasins, which would give a full understanding of all the teachings studied before. He has been teaching Mantra Yoga, Pran Kriya and Swadhyay. He is a Nidra Yoga instructor for the past 20 years across 5 continents. He is a board member of the European Union of Yoga, founder of Nidra Consciousness, founder member of Indian Yoga Association and director of Nidra Study Centers across the globe. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming André Riel.
Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon, good evening for those different parts of the world. We are coming to the end of this 4 days conclave that we've been working on for the past several months, and we kind of decided to propose a final meditation. And just before going into that, for things to be as clear as possible, what we're going to do together is coming from what is called Nidra Yoga from Shaivism tradition. And we have to make clear that when we're using different words, it might bring confusion. So we're going to do some exercise which requires concentration and visualization. Visualization is an effort of the thought. And we kind of discover through centuries and millennia of study that it is possible by using the thought to go to a meditative state, which is a state of being united effortlessly without any effort. So it's about moving from thought to global feeling of togetherness. Before we start, I will please ask everyone to think or to contact with somebody that you consider to be wise or holy, either alive or dead, and somebody that you feel being touched by, and we'll use that character later on. So I don't know how many we are together right now, hundreds of thousands. And I will suggest you to lie down on your back and just to listen. And if this is difficult, you can be in whatever position you want, but lying on your back will help for being more receptive. So please take your position you feel the best. Once again, lying down will be much more helpful. Now, when you are set, try to find a position where there is a kind of symmetry in between the right and left sides of the body. And close your eyes and come to the sensation of the breathing. That is, trying to perceive each breath in and each breath out very carefully and without big effort. Just being aware of the breathing. And try to dive into this movement of the breathing. Being aware that it is not so much a physical process only, but it is also the movement that keeps us alive. And come closer to that movement that keeps you alive. Now being sensitive to the breathing movement of life. Imagine yourself, visualize yourself sitting on a beach facing the ocean. The ocean is quiet, there is not big waves. And at the very end of the ocean, be aware of the horizon line. That is the image that we have where water and sky meet. It is just an image, but put your looking at this place, still being aware of the movement of the breathing. Then imagine that in your back, on the other side of the beach, there is a jungle, very thick forest. And still being aware of this infinite of the ocean and the sky, you're going to turn on the beach, stand up, and walk towards this very thick forest, this very thick jungle. Infinity is in your back now. The meeting of ocean and sky, but feel your body walking towards this very thick jungle. And once you're there, the jungle is really, really thick. There is no path that is already done by whoever before. There is no definite way. And you're going to step in. That is, you're going to make your way where there is no way. And step in, walk into the jungle, which is very, very dark. And there are sounds of animals. And make your own way into darkness. Feel the movements of your hands, pushing away shrubs, leaves, movement of your feet walking. Make your way where there is no way into darkness. Go on. Don't stop walking, never. Go on, don't stop. Make your path into darkness. Until you might meet a clearing. There is a little clearing somewhere in the middle of the jungle where there is more light. And into this clearing there is a pond, some water, and also a small building like a shrine. The pond water is very clear, and if you come by the entrance of the shrine, there's no door. Door has been taken away by time, and the inside is very dark. There's no window inside. Now step into this shrine, kind of temple, which is here again very dark as the jungle was. And slowly as your sight is getting used to darkness, you can discover there are kind of shallow paintings on the walls, whole paintings. And when your eyes are getting more used to darkness, there's somebody sitting in the corner of this little shrine. Somebody sitting which is that person you've thought about at the very beginning of our meeting. And you can only see his or her eyes because there's too much darkness. And this person is the embodiment of wisdom. He or she is the wise one, that holy person. And come and sit just in front of those two eyes. And facing this wise one, this holy one, let him or her look at you. Feel being looked at, being seen as you are. Eventually, deeper than you know yourself. Just be looked at by this wise character. And after being looked at, to your turn, look yourself, look at the eyes of this wise one. And being kind of attracted, enter mentally, enter the eyes of this holy and wise person. Enter deeply through his or her eyes, and as if you were kind of attracted, slowly imagine that the body, your body, is entering, is going through these eyes, and that you're coming into the body of this wise and holy person. This body has the shape of a drop. The tip of the drop is at the level of the chest of this holy character. And the round bottom of the drop is into the abdomen, the belly. And imagine that you go down into this drop-shaped body, and that you lie down in the bottom, in the round bottom. It is once again like a drop shape. And feel totally surrendering there. And the breathing of this holy person is like rocking you. Feel being rocked by the breathing, that is the movement of life of this holy, wise person. And slowly shift from the character, this wise one, shift from the character to wisdom, to the quality of holiness, the quality of wisdom. It's no more somebody, it is the quality of this wise or holy person. And slowly feel like being rocked by wisdom. This rocking movement is a movement of wisdom, as if wisdom was pregnant with you, as if you are the child of wisdom. Go deep into this, being the child of wisdom. And this child is going to take birth into wisdom. Imagine there is a movement that takes you a little higher to the tip of the drop shape, and wisdom is in the heart. And be courageous. Imagine yourself taking birth from the heart of wisdom. Imagine yourself taking birth from the heart of wisdom, and be that wisdom full of life. Be that wisdom full of love for the whole life, like uniting love for the whole world. Stay with this. Let us stay together a few little moments in silence to be that wisdom full of love for the whole life, uniting love to the whole world. Dive into that feeling and make a decision. Decision is to put one action into the world with full clarity and wisdom and love. To put an action into the world with full clarity, wisdom and love. And then you will do it today or at the latest tomorrow. And do it. Now, come back to the movement of your own breathing into your abdomen or chest, wherever it is. And come into this sensation that we all are, and collectively, but also individually, we all are the actors of this united and uniting consciousness. And at least put one action into that consciousness and an action into the world today or tomorrow at the latest. Now keep on breathing a little deeper. and feel wherever you are on the world. We are here hundreds or thousands together, trying to unite consciousness and act on the world. Nobody is alone. We are a big network of affection. So go back to a deeper breathing, remembering that we are all breathing together right now, all over the world. All of us who are connected into this united consciousness. Keep on breathing a little deeper, bringing more air in and out. And into this togetherness, let us all open our eyes. Being aware of the external world where we took the decision to put a loving and wise action today or tomorrow at the latest. Let's do that together. Let's also put united consciousness into action. God bless you all. God bless you all.
Thank you very much. Respected Andrew, thank you very much for such a peaceful and amazing meditation, guided meditation. And you called upon us to take one action into united consciousness. I'm sure it will motivate all the audience. In the word you used as network of affection. And we will be breathing together in united consciousness as you guided all of us. Thank you very much. Can you bless us like this as you always do? Thank you very much. It is
Be happy. Be happy. Thank you.
I owe my thanks to Mr. Andre Rail for guiding us the meditation practices. Thank you very much. Today we also have with us Francoise Barbara Friedman. She's a founder and director of Birthlight. She is PhD from Cambridge and she is still active in medical anthropologist at the University of Cambridge, where she holds an affiliated lectureship. While working as a senior yoga teacher and yoga therapist specialized in the area of reproductive health for women and their families, she initiated a prenatal yoga module for yoga therapy diploma course created by Dr. Robin Monroe at the Yoga Biomedical Trust, London in 1995, followed by postnatal yoga and well woman yoga. She has pioneered a style of yoga accessible to all women, irrespective of their level of fitness and background, with a focus on prevention and integrated maternity care. Birthlight, a UK-registered charity, originated in experimental Cambridge-based classes with the aim to enhance well-being during the prenatal continuum from conception to year 3. For this purpose, she pioneered equinatal yoga, baby yoga, and a yoga-based approach to water parenting. Birthlight is an acclaimed international training provider with an extensive network of trainers, teachers, and members, including health professionals as well as yoga teachers and therapists. She has authored 10 books on yoga and contributes to Yoga General. She is a long-standing member of International MERS Society of Prenatal Mental Health and the Society of Psychomatic Obstetrics, Gynecology and Andrology, the Journal of the Pre- and Postnatal Psychology and Health Association, among others. Besides speaking at international conferences, she convened Birthlight conferences at Cambridge, London.
Hello and welcome to this United Consciousness event. And in this very short talk, I am going to try and convince you that conscious parenting is the key priority for yoga, and that yoga is not often marketed for householders, and yet it's in the householder stage of life that yoga may be the most important in today's world, particularly for pregnant women and for new parents, because it's at that time, during the first 1001 days of life, from conception to year 2, to the end of year 2, that nearly everything is shaped and determined in human life. All parents want the best for their babies, and deep down they love their babies, even if they don't always do the best job of parenting. Yet too many children and young people do not have the start in life that they need and deserve, and this leads to very high costs for society and also to many affected lives. Many people need long psychotherapy or trauma healing to address the issues of prenatal and postnatal time. The current economic situation makes early intervention seem challenging. Yet, without a focus on prevention, which has always been the aim of yoga and Ayurveda, we can cut the costs of intervention associated with managing the issues that arise later on. So if we focus on prevention, even before conception, this is how we can help create most change. The early years of life are a crucial period of change, and alongside adolescence, this is a key moment for brain development. Around 26 million neurons are created in the first year of life alone, to be pruned in the second year. But they start taking shape, these neurons start appearing in pregnancy, and then their appearance depends on the kind of mood, the kind of way of being the mother is experiencing. And as our understanding of the science of development improves, it's becoming clearer and clearer how the events that happen to babies lead to structural changes that have lifelong ramifications. Neuroscience is helping us to understand how love and nurture by caring adults is then hardwired in the brains of babies. So it's this hardwiring that we need to work on with yoga, and mostly with breathing and relaxation in yoga. The early years of life require all our attention, and pregnancy and birth can be tough for every mother and father, and some parents find it very hard to provide the care they need if they have a challenging pregnancy, and even more if they have a difficult birth. But this is where our yoga comes in. It can come at any time, before conception, after conception, during the first trimester. is probably most important in the third trimester of pregnancy and in the fourth trimester, which is the first 3 months after birth. So this is a critical window of opportunity, and one when parents, both mothers and fathers, are especially receptive to offers of advice and support. They come to yoga in a very receptive way, attitude, and we welcome them, and this is a time where we can change their lives and the lives of their babies. So as a first point, I would say that brain development, with its peak period of growth in pregnancy and the first year, is when the foundations of baby's mind are being put in place, and connections in the brain are continued to be created at the rate of 1 million per second in the second part of the first year of life. So these earliest experiences shape a baby's brain and have a lifelong impact on this baby's mental and emotional health. And international studies have shown that when a baby's development falls behind the norm during the first 2 years of life, it is more likely to fall even further behind in subsequent years, and then it's difficult to catch up with those who have had a better start. So giving our babies a good start in life is our priority. And we can do this through the body, from the body to the nervous system, from the nervous system to the mind, and from the parent to the baby, and the baby to the parent. So second point, we know that adverse effects of maternal stress before birth and the effects of exposure to overwhelming stress within the family after birth have been are setting thresholds of hormones, particularly cortisol, which works together with adrenaline, to danger and high alert levels with long-term consequences, because it's very difficult to reverse these settings later on. Maternal mental illness and domestic violence are sadly increasing all over the world in cities. And in the UK alone, around 26% of babies in their first year are estimated to be living within complex family situations with heightened risk, where there are problems with substance misuse, mental illness, or domestic violence. So 26% is quite a significant percentage, and we know that maternal mental illness affects up to 20% of pregnant women and new mothers. It's not just postnatal depression, it's prenatal depression. And this is reversible, this is transformable, and this is what I have dedicated my life to do, is to work towards this conscious parenting in an easy and fun way for the parents. So pregnant women who suffer from stress can pass on the message to her unborn baby that the world is going to be dangerous, and her child will struggle with many social and emotional problems on the basis of that perception of the world. This will also occur at any time during the 1001 days, whenever a baby is exposed to overwhelming stress from any cause during the family. My third point is about attachment, which is a very misunderstood concept. So attachment is the name that is given to the bond that a baby makes with his or her caregivers, and they may be his parents or not. But there is a long-standing evidence that a baby's social and emotional development is affected by attachment to these caregivers, and that love matters, and that at least one loving, sensitive and responsive relationship with an adult caregiver can help the baby to believe that the world is a good place and give the baby that blissful state that is their birthright, and also reduces the risk of them facing disruptive issues later on in life. So these findings from science are very important, because all we need is help the parents to demonstrate in practice, through body-based practices, their love and care. And in doing that, they are teaching themselves to self-nurture, even if they have not been loved or nurtured as babies themselves. So yoga is the best practice to tackle the roots of violence to both self and others. And ahimsa is probably what is most needed in the world today in terms of parenting. My first yoga teacher told me, doing yoga, you become your own mother and father. And at the time, I was young and I did not understand what she meant. And I kept questioning this statement. How can one become one's own mother and father? And then, as years passed, I understood what was meant by this statement. And I understood that actually, even if you have had a terrible start yourself, and that you may resent the way your parents have treated you, by doing yoga, you integrate the qualities of fathering and mothering in yourself, and you unite these tendencies and these practices. So many indigenous people in the world talk about growing up with a caring moral guidance. This is also what we miss in today's world, and that yoga can give us through the text, through the mantras, and through the mudras as well. So in this householder's yoga is not dependent on a mat. It can be done anywhere at any time. And nurture can be learned through small acts of love and self-referral. So when we are holding a screaming infant, what do? We can do 3 R's. Ah, ah, ah. And the baby will receive this self-calming practice and sometimes will stop crying. So it may take more than one incidence of doing this for the baby to register it, but I can assure you that sooner or later the baby will register it and even be accustomed by it. Will acquire what is called in psychology habituation. So when the parent self-calms, the baby responds with calm. The parents in turn receives the calmness of the baby and becomes even more calm. And this creates what we call in Birthlight an expanding spiral, a positive spiral of joy and happiness and health. So this is a positive feedback loop, and there are hundreds of possible positive feedback loops that can be instilled to the parents, instilled to these parents in a few seconds, in a few minutes. So I hope that I have inspired you to think of these first 1001 days as a critical window of opportunity. And if you miss the boat during the pregnancy, you can catch it just after birth. And if you miss the early postnatal boat, you can catch it at any time during the first year and even during the second year. So it's the most worthwhile thing to do in the whole world, because it creates not just spirals within this generation, but it impacts on 2, 3, and perhaps even 4 generations, as the yoga texts tell us. And by starting yoga in this way, at this time, parents will become yoga practitioners, and so will their children. And they will get the best of what yoga can give them, which is unity with themselves and harmony in their relationships. Thank you for listening.
On behalf of United Consciousness, I thank Ms. Francois Barbara Friedman for coming on to the platform of United Consciousness. Thank you so much. I feel privileged to welcome the performance from Duca Band, an Abruzzo band born in 2002 with the sole intention of bringing their music wherever it is required. The musical genre ranges from rock to blues, from the revival to dance of 70s and 80s, both Italian and foreign. Like a big jukebox, he made his audience dance and sing, and continues to do so for over 10 years now, entertaining with professionalism and light-hearted joy. The band includes Danielle Rossetti. She likes writing new songs and enjoy the true nature of music. Vincenzo, he plays drums. He joined the band in 2002. Domenico Bomba, he is on bass. He is the meek soul of Duca Band, accordion teacher and virtuous bass player. Marco D'Angelo plays rhythm guitar, piano and gives voice. Marco began studying classical piano as a child and began studying the guitar at the age of 11. In 2012, he joined as a guitarist in Duca Band, giving his contribution both in playing the guitar and in the second voice. David De Luca plays rhythm guitar. He is the creator and founder of Duca Band along with singer Daniel Rosati and drummer Vincent. He has participated in numerous events in Europe. So, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together to welcome Duca Band.
I welcome you on United Consciousness International Yoga Day, organized by United Consciousness Global.
On behalf of United Consciousness, I thank Juka Band for their beautiful performance. Thank you so much. I'm very much excited to welcome and introduce our next performer, Mr. Hosu from Honduras, Director at the World's Association of Throat Singing and work for Führung at Hosu and Trans-Mongolia Co-Limited and team leader at Hosu Music. Studied at the Hamburg School of Music, attended from 2002 to 2004. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome the wonderful performance by Mr. Hosu.
I welcome you on United Consciousness International Yoga Day, organized by United Consciousness Global. I am Hosso, throat singer from Mongolia.
On behalf of United Consciousness, I thank Mr. Hosu for coming onto the platform of United Consciousness and giving such a beautiful performance. Thank you so much.
सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्।
This shloka means, May everyone be happy. May everyone be free from all diseases. May everyone see goodness and auspiciousness in everything. May none be unhappy or distressed. Om Shantihi, Shantihi, Shantihi. I am highly privileged to have this opportunity to present my gratitude to all those who have witnessed and blessed this event directly or indirectly. I believe that this is not the end, but the beginning of our journeys. The journeys towards the noble cause of removing the 14 divides rooted in human race and promoting harmonious and peaceful coexistence. Firstly, I thank the God for blessing us all in this conclave to take our first step towards the noble mission. I thank European Yoga Federation, Swami Suryananda Saraswati Ji, Ms. Amy Blesio, Ms. Emilia, Sarah, Danielia, Christine, and also thank the Spiritual Council in Africa. I am very grateful to our speakers, Ms. Sophia Stroll-River, Dr. Nitin Agrawal, and Ms. Francois Barbara Friedman for sparing their valuable time for this event. I thank to our esteemed panelists, Dr. Leon Moss, Ms. Addie Bempa, Ms. Maja McCleve, and Mr. Amarjeet Singh Bambra. I extend my thanks to our yoga expert, Ms. Alejandra Solar, and meditation expert, Yogi Andre Rahil. I am thankful to our performers, Ms. Sarah Lency, Dr. David De Luca, Mr. Hosu, and Play for Change musical group. I owe my heartfelt thanks to Team Project Self USA, Shri Rajesh Rabindranath, Ms. Pavitra Srinivasan, Ms. Madhurika Arvind, Ms. Rashmi Kashi, Dr. Prasad Akavu, Dr. Vijay Reddy, Ms. Gina Suresh, Mr. Karthik Palamalai, Mr. K. L. Alexander, Mr. Venkat Sriram Lalu, Ms. Deepthi Nair, Ms. Avneet Bad, Mr. Suresh, Mr. Devaraju, Ms. Deepa Arun. I thank Team Project Self Bharat, Dr. Vikrant Singh Tomar, Dr. Shweta Tomar, Aditi Meghna Mausan Prachi, Mr. J.S. Juneja, Dr. Paramji Juneja, Rishi Vishalji Arnav, Aditya Ashwin, Rati Dharmendra Ji, Uday, Pooja Ji, Bharti Ji, Dipti Ji, Amrish Ji, Mrinalini Ji, Khushbu Ji, Jimmy Ji, Mr. Sanjay Rajput, Ms. Simran Reel, and Ms. Simran Raghavani. I am very much thankful to our wonderful audience and all the visible and invisible sources blessing us.